This morning we are continuing in our summer soundtrack series. We're talking about Psalms. For those of you who have not been with us, this is a beautiful book that's written in the Bible. It's the biggest book in the Bible. It's actually a book that's made up of 5 different books. This is the worship book. This is Jesus' version of a hymnal. This is what he would use to worship. And in it, we see different types of psalms. We have songs of praise. We have royal psalms that point to king or point to Messiah. We have a lot of psalms of lament, feeling sad and bringing that burden to God. All sorts of different types of psalms. If you didn't get one, we do have some how to read psalms cards left for you that we can get you after service that we passed out a few weeks ago. But here's what we're trying to grasp with this series, is that Psalms is a book of feeling. We feel things when we read a psalm. But we also are a people who feels. We all woke in having feelings about something today. Some of us walked in feeling tired. Some of us walked in feeling joyful. There are people who walked in today and you're feeling sad or anxious. And here's what I'm telling you. Whatever you're feeling, there is a psalm where someone else was feeling that, and it connects to the heart of God. And so we're taking time this summer just to look at some of our favorite psalms. We're calling it Summer Soundtrack. And we're looking at this idea that most of us have our favorite music that reminds us of summer. And we're going to take this opportunity to look at some of the favorite psalms that we have that remind us of God. So we're going to be in Psalm 25 today. If you want to turn there in your Bibles, we'll get there here in just a second. When I was 16, $100 was a lot of money. I mean, if I'm honest, like $100 is still a lot of money to me. But a $100 bill, if I ever got a $100 bill as a teenager, it seemed like the most amount of money in the world. One time, I don't know if it was through birthday or Christmas or I had done some odd job, and I had a $100 bill that was in my possession, and I lost it. Yeah, I know. To teenage me, it felt like a fortune. Money that I was saving to buy a stereo for my pickup truck. Because I lived in Texas, and I had a pickup truck, and I was a teenager, and it needed to go boom, 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 boom. And I lost this money, and if I'm honest, guys, I looked everywhere. Nothing. So I did what any spiritual good youth group kid who was slightly dramatic might do, and I prayed, and I was like, God, I need you to find me this money. Then I started, and I even said, God, please show me where this money is. And I start walking around my house like a water diviner, where's the impression of the Holy Spirit leading me? Is it in the backyard? Is it under the dog kennel? And I kid you not, in my mind, I got this picture, and I felt like something was it's under the TV in your bedroom. Not like a flat screen TV. It was a big TV, a tube TV, weighed 1,000 pounds. And I was like, there's no way it's under the TV in my bedroom. Nothing can even slide under there. But I was like, okay, God, I'm going to go look under the TV in my bedroom. I'm going to follow your lead. I lifted up my TV, and I kid you not, that $100 bill was under my TV. Now, as a pastor, when people tell me stories like this, like God showed me it was under my TV, I may roll my eyes a little bit. But here's the truth. Even if it was coincidence, and I earnestly don't think it was, 16-year-old Joel was looking for guidance from God. But more than anything, I had this realization, is that when I am looking for direction, I can go to a God that provides direction. You know what? I still pray about silly things. I lose my car keys. And I get mad, and my kids are like, Dad's mad. He lost his keys again. And like sometimes I'll pause, I'm like, okay, God, I want to bring you big and small things. I need to find my car keys. And I'm not really trying to water divine my way through life. What I'm really trying to do is learn how to depend on the direction of the Holy Spirit in my life. And let me tell you where that starts, by going to God. You see, we try to live faithful lives, but most of us at some point ask the questions, how do I hear God's voice? How do I know what to do? And here's the big one. What if I make the wrong choice? As a youth pastor talking to graduating seniors, they were all so terrified that they were going to make the wrong choice on which college they went to. And hear me, right? Do I think that God sometimes calls us to specific places? Absolutely. And this is what we're talking about today, is direction from God. But I also think that, especially with this question, what if I make the wrong choice? Sometimes I think it's, in talking to high school seniors, what I would tell them is it matters how you go more than where you go. You can go to a private Christian school and still get plastered every weekend. You can go to a Christian school where you have chapel and you can never go and you cannot get plugged into church. Or you can go to a secular school and you can get plugged into a ministry and a church and a community of faith. Sometimes I think it's more important how you go than where. Hear me when I say this. And so the anxiety of what if I make the wrong choice, I think character matters in that. But we struggle with these questions. Sometimes it's not even, how do I hear God's voice? It's, did I hear you right? God, say that again? I don't really want to do that. Or we doubt that what we hear is from God. Sometimes we wish God would just text us the next right step. When I go to the grocery store, this is what I've learned. If my wife gives me a list and I have a question about something on the list, if I make the decision, I will be wrong. I've learned. If I get in that position, I had a boss one time teach me right when I was getting married. He said the most powerful thing that you can know as a husband is the phrase, I'm sorry, I'm just a stupid man. That's my approach when I'm lost in the grocery store. I text my wife, hey, it says this, I'm not sure which, there's two brands, they look the same, and I know one of them's right and one of them's wrong, and no matter which one I get, it's going to be the wrong one. Tell me which one to get. And my wife will text me back, and she understands that this is the appropriate thing because I'm not going to get it right. But sometimes it would be easy if it was just, okay, God, like I'm in this situation, I'm trying to follow your leading. Tell me the exact next step to take. Tell me exactly what to do. Does he ever tell us? Sure. But sometimes he doesn't. And it would be a lot easier if he would just give us the text message. But hear me when I say this. Real spiritual formation doesn't usually happen in certainty. It does happen in surrender. It's giving over to God. It's going to God and trusting him. So this is the question that I want to look at today as we open Psalm 25. What if guidance isn't about getting clearer answers, but becoming more surrendered listeners? What if it's not about hearing the exact steps? What if it's spending more time going to the one who gives direction? It almost seems counterintuitive. Because really what I'm suggesting is it's like opening Google Maps and typing in the destination, but instead of looking at the destination, just continuing to type stuff into the search bar. Just going to the search bar again and again and again. Because in our minds, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't get us to where we're going. But God doesn't work like that when it comes to giving direction. Because really the most important direction in your life isn't the next steps you take, it's the step you take closer to God. And this is what we're going to see from David. Psalm 25, we don't understand this in English, but it's actually written as an acrostic psalm poem, right? If you look at it in Hebrew, the first letter begins with the letter Aleph, Then for some reason it skips the letter bait. But then it goes gimel. The second line begins with gimel. The third line begins with dalet. The fourth line begins with hey, which is the correct order of the Hebrew alphabet. It's like if we had a song or a poem that the first line was A, the second line was B, the third line was C. And we miss this in English, but it's this beautiful poem. It's like there's a poetic structure to it in Hebrew. It's carefully crafted, and it's a personal lament, but not a panicked one. It reads like someone who's been humbled, but is now ready to be taught. We see it both fit in the category of lament and wisdom psalms, and it expresses this deep trust in God and in his covenant. And there's this longing that we see from David in guidance, in this honest confession of David's sin. 2 weeks ago, we read Psalm 18 with the idea that God delights in us. And last week, we talked about Psalm 91, this idea of us dwelling in the shadow of the Most High, or us abiding in God. But I think what this psalm is going to teach us is how we walk with God and how that impacts the walk we have in life. So Psalm chapter 25, we're going to start in verse 1. Of David. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. Let not my enemies exult over me. Indeed, none who wait for you shall be put to shame. They shall be ashamed who are wantonly treacherous. The very first part of the psalm starts like this, right? To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. O my God, in you I trust. Let me not be put to shame. It's in verses 1 and 2. And what we see in this is a prayer of humbled surrender. I lift up my soul. I put it in my hands and I offer it to you, God. And I trust you. I'm putting my trust in you. It's surrender. From the very beginning of this song, we see a heart of surrender. David begins by giving his heart to God. He doesn't start with a decision to make. He starts with trust. He says, I trust you. Don't let me be put to shame. It's a little bit different than where most of us start when it comes to our approach to God. It's usually a petition, right? It's God, do this. It's God, I need this. God, I'm scared about. God, I'm feeling this. And what David teaches us is something, it's a different approach. It's to begin by offering God trust. Because this isn't passive waiting. It's active surrender. And before David asks for direction, he declares dependence. You see, what we see here is a man in David who is placing his confidence in the character of God, not in the clarity of his next step. We do the opposite, don't we? God, why aren't you answering my prayer? God, I'm not hearing from you. God, where are you? And what David does is he goes, God, I trust you. God, don't put me to shame. He's placing his confidence in the character of God, not in the clarity of his next step. This opening section sets the tone for the rest of the psalm. Because what we find out is that guidance from God doesn't begin with questions. It begins with trust. In fact, most of the time when there's a lot of questions, what that indicates for us is a lack of trust. When I feel like one of my kids has done something they should not have done, I start asking them questions. Where were you? Well, who's the one who spilled the paint all over the floor? I don't think Jackson was using the paintbrushes today. Were you using the paintbrushes today? Where did all the printer paper on the floor that are covered with water and paint come from? I have an aspiring artist in my house. But the reason is because when I say, did you make this mess? And they go, no, it's because I don't trust them. I don't trust that they are telling me the truth. And so I ask questions, and we do this. Anytime we question if someone can be trusted, we question and we ask questions. And with David, he doesn't begin with questions, he begins with trust. And church, we got to find a place where when we approach God, we don't begin with the questions, we begin with the trust. But then look what happens after this. I love this next part in verse 4. It says, make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I will wait all the day long. Remember your mercy, O Lord, and your steadfast love. For they have been from of old. Remember not the sins of my youth or my transgressions. According to your steadfast love, remember me for the sake of your goodness, O Lord. Verse 4 and 5 again, right? Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. These are core verses for what we're talking about in this psalm, because David doesn't just want answers. He wants formation. He's not going in assuming that he's the expert. And I think what we do is the exact opposite. Is oftentimes we approach God like we're the expert and we know exactly what we want, what we need, and what God needs to do. I think it was Stephen Covey that said that to be a master of something, to be an expert in a field, you have to put in 10,000 hours. And many of us feel like we've put our 10,000 hours of life in, and so we're the experts, and so we don't approach God going, God, teach me. We approach God saying, God, do this. God, fix this. And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are going into 6th grade next year or you're the CEO of a large organization. We each have to be in a position that we can humble ourselves and go, God, teach me. Let me learn your ways. Make me to know. Teach me. Lead me. Because David, what he gives us an example of is humility and openness. There's a turning point in the psalm. The request in verses 4 through 5 isn't for a spiritual hack or a quick fix. It's a declaration that I want to be the kind of person who follows God's way. It's not about hearing the divine whisperer. It's not about growing a heart that can recognize for itself. It's about a heart that recognizes the sound of the Father's voice. And this is deeply personal. It's a plea for discipleship, not just for deliverance. And keep in mind, right, where David is in the psalm, and we'll read this here in a second, he's in a tough spot. And he doesn't say, God, fix this. He says, God, lead me. God, teach me. He wants direction, but instead of the direction out of the problem, he's looking for the direction of God, in the way of God. I have up here a relic from the past. Do you guys know what this is? It's a map. It's a paper map. Anybody remember having to navigate with maps? Yeah. I need somebody to do me a favor, right? Because, see, this is a Denver map, and in it says it includes Arvada, Aurora, Boulder, Canyon City, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, Lake Worth, Longmont, Loveland, Parker, and Pueblo. So on this map, we are on this map right now. But also, Denver International Airport is on this map. And I need someone who thinks that they can navigate from this building to the airport using this map and can open this map and look at it and find it. Does anybody think you can do that? Somebody's willing to come up? Andrew, can you do it? You're literally pumping your fist. Come on up, Andrew. We'll get this opened up. All right, can you find on this map, is there a problem?
There's a slight issue.
What's the issue?
That appears to be Manhattan.
This is Manhattan?
Brooklyn.
So are you saying you can't do it? Gen Z. Thank you, Andrew, for being my guinea pig. You can keep this map of Manhattan and this one of Denver as a souvenir. You guys give Andrew a hand. I gave him the wrong map. I had the right map, I just gave him the wrong map. But do you see, this is what a lot of us do with God. We ask for guidance, but we're holding on to a completely different set of expectations. God's trying to form our character, but we're still over here trying to navigate to the airport, and God's going, I'm past the airport. We're already landed in Manhattan. Here's the point, guys. We don't need clearer steps. We need to learn to go to the one who has coordinates. And sometimes he makes those steps clear, but it is never wrong to spend time looking and spending more time with the one who created the maps. It's counterintuitive because we want A, B, we want point A to point B. And God's saying, no. You don't need point A to point B. You need the one who created point A and point B. And David illustrates this because not only does he say, teach me, he says, forgive me of my sins. And there's only one person we go to that can forgive sins wholly and completely. David knows his past. He's not confident in his record, but he is confident in God's mercy. That's why he says, remember your mercy, not my sins. He's saying, God, I want to go your way, but I know when I've gone the wrong way. So instead of trying to fix it himself and course correct, he's going back to God and trusting in him. Anybody ever grow up with a dad who refused to stop and ask for directions? Now it's easy, we have phones. Man, my dad hated asking for directions. He didn't just have a map. He bought one of those like State Farm giant atlases. Anybody else's dad have that in the back pocket of the driver's seat in your conversion van? Yeah. And he's like, I don't need directions. I know exactly where I'm going. If we'd have stopped and asked directions, we'd have had a clearer picture. It's not trying to course correct on your own. It's going to the source of the knowledge. Which is why this prayer is even more beautiful, right? David asks God to teach him to be patient while he learns. And that's the heart of spiritual formation. It's a teachable spirit and a merciful God. Do you have a teachable spirit? Are you willing to learn not just the direction, but the one who created the directions? Not just the next step, but the one who orchestrates every step. Verse 8, we see a shift in the psalm. It says, "Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore, he instructs sinners in the way. He leads the humble in what is right and teaches the humble his way. All the paths of the Lord are steadfast love and faithfulness for those who keep his covenants and his testimonies. For your sake, O Lord, pardon my guilt, for it is great. Who is a man who fears the Lord? Him will he instruct in the way that he should choose. His soul shall abide in well-being, and his offspring shall inherit the land. The friendship of the Lord is for those who fear him, and he makes known to them his covenant. My eyes are ever toward the Lord, for he will pluck my feet out of the net." And he transitions from asking God, from this prayer to this declaration. David moves from request to reflection. He says things like, "Teach me," to things like, "This is who God is." And these are some of the things that he describes God as. It says he is good. He's upright. He instructs even sinners. He guides the humble. Not the impressive, not the perfectly obedient, the teachable. You're not expected to be perfect. You're expected to be humble and open, to go to God, to follow him, and to be teachable. And I think if we aren't careful, we'll make the mistake that we just have to do the right things, and the God will make it clear for us what the next step is. If we just do this, if we just do that, if we just pray more, if we just sin less, then maybe God will give us the direction we're looking for. But God's guidance isn't a reward for the qualified. It's a gift to the surrendered. So how are you surrendering? It's what makes Psalm 25 so powerful. God's guidance for those who surrender. What we see here is not David bragging about his insight. It's him humbling himself and bragging about the goodness of God. He says God teaches the people who are willing to be taught. Verse 14 says, "The friendship of the Lord is for those who fear him." The word friendship we see there, it can mean a couple different things. It can mean counsel. So the counsel of the Lord is for those who fear him. Or it also is a word that we use for intimate conversation. But do you see the personal aspect of this? That personal conversation is for those who fear him. God doesn't just command from a distance, guys. God walks with his people and lets them know his ways. It's not just this begging of, "Teach me, O Lord, teach me, O Lord, teach me, O Lord." It's, "Teach me, O Lord." And he goes, "Okay, learn my ways. Learn me. Grow in me. Let's grow in this relationship." If you want to be led by God, it starts by asking, do I actually want what he teaches? Or do I just want a spiritual shortcut to what I already wanted? Do you actually want what he teaches? Or are you just looking for a spiritual shortcut to get what you want? Right? And this is the point of surrender. Is sometimes we've got to be willing to surrender what we want and follow his ways. David says that he keeps his eyes on the Lord. And that's his posture. It's this continual attentiveness, not occasional desperation. It's not that it's an emergency, it's time to pray. It's, God, teach me every single day. And I love how Jesus models this for us perfectly. He didn't just teach us the way. He didn't just teach us his way. He was the way. And his life was marked by the same quiet strength. We know this when he says the phrase, I only do what I see the Father doing. Jesus lived by humbly approaching the Father. And he invites us to do the same in our walks. Verse 16, the rest of the psalm says this, right? Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. Bring me out of my distress. Consider my affliction and my trouble, and forgive all my sins. What a powerful prayer. Consider how many are my foes, and with what violent hatred they hate me. Oh, guard my soul and deliver me. Let me not be put to shame, for I take refuge in you. May integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait for you. And then he ends it by saying, redeem Israel, O God, out of all of this trouble. What we see as David returns to where he started, waiting, asking, and surrendering. It's a vulnerable, honest voice of someone who is still kind of in the middle of trouble. He's not out of it yet. He's afflicted, he's troubled, he feels alone, and yet he keeps trusting. There's no spiritual resolution. Like, we don't get the conclusion in this psalm. If we really want to know the conclusion, we've got to flip back to 1st and 2nd Samuel or Chronicles. But the psalm doesn't have kind of that nice bow that we want and goes, oh, I trusted in the Lord and everything was okay. Now, if we keep reading Psalms, we see that in other places, certainly. But in this specific psalm, we don't see that. He ends where he started, teach me to trust. David doesn't say, and I prayed this and God made everything clear. He just says, God, I'm waiting on you. And I will keep waiting on you, and I'll keep going to you, and you be the one that I wait on. He asks God to look on his pain, his sin, and his fear, and be gracious. I think that's what makes this psalm so important. It shows us how to stay surrendered when the path is not clear yet. It's a prayer to pray when you're still learning, still hurting, still hoping, still waiting. I think most of us in this room, we're asking something of God and we're waiting and we don't know the direction yet. I certainly am. And it's hard when you don't get the answer you want immediately. It's hard when you're waiting on time or other people. It's hard when you're praying and circumstances outside of your control seem to be the thing that are controlling it. And what I would encourage you to do if you're in that place is exactly what David did. Keep waiting, but also in the middle of that waiting, put your trust in God. You may not know your exact next step, but trust in the one who orchestrates all your steps. It means you know where to turn when you don't have the answers. We want all the answers. But guidance isn't all the answers. If I'm guiding my children in something, I'm not just telling them what to do. I want them to learn how to do it. I want them to grow. I want them to act in their own character. And I think that's a little bit about what God does for us. And I never want my children to stop coming to me for guidance, but I also need them to learn how to act in character. And wait, either for me to give them the next step or for them in confidence from what they know to continue to listen to my guidance, but to take that next step on their own. David is not looking and he's not proclaiming this idea of a quick fix. He doesn't just ask God for help, he asks for protection of the soul. It's not the quick fix. He's asking for, guard who I am in the middle of this. That's spiritual maturity. And then he ends it in this beautiful piece of intercession that almost doesn't fit with the rest of the psalm. Redeem Israel, O God, out of all this trouble. David started by lifting up his soul, and he ends with lifting up his people. Because when you let God teach you, when you really, truly walk with him, you realize that you're not the only one on a path. You're not the only one on a journey. You're not the only one looking for direction. And you start praying for the paths of others too. My prayer for us this morning is verses 4 and 5. I would encourage you, if you have a Bible, highlight them. If you have a Bible app, you can highlight in there too. But I would encourage you that this week to make this your prayer. Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth. And teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I will wait all the day long. And if you're in a season where you've been asking God to show you the next step, if you're in a season where you are asking God and you're depending on him, I'm here to tell you, you need to memorize these two verses, these verses of surrender. And you need to start praying this, proclaiming this. In the moments when you're mad at God because you don't know, or you're scared, or you're anxious, proclaim out loud, God, teach me your ways, O Lord. Teach me your path. For you are the God of my salvation, and for you I will wait all day long. It positions our heart not to wait on the instruction, but to wait on the God of our salvation and surrender to him. So some of you need to do the very practical step this week of memorizing these two verses. I have the ESV. I don't care. Memorize them out of whatever version you want. But learn how you can start reading this and praying this and surrendering to God's direction in your life. We're going to sing a song. And you may need to take some time. You may not even need to stand. You may need to take a moment and sit in your chair, read these verses, and pray this over your life. You may need to take that 5 minutes because you're facing a major decision. And it's not about strategy. It needs to be about surrender. So Holy Spirit, we're going to ask you right now that you highlight in our hearts and lives the area of life where we've been asking for clarity, but resisting your correction. We've been resisting your presence. And I pray that whatever those areas are, we take this moment and surrender to you. That we become teachable to you. Maybe as a family this week, you need to get together and pray this prayer of trust. And let it become part of your rhythm of obedience to God. Father, I thank you. You're not just the God who makes our steps. God, you are the God of all creation. You are the God walking with us in these steps. You are the one who intimately, like a friend, gives us that intimate counsel. Let us learn to run after you more than just the answers. Let us be teachable. Let us be moldable. Let us be willing to draw closer to you and grow in our character, listening to the one who guides. We thank you. We love you. It's your name we pray.